Okay, this is an analysis of a bash team against another bash team, basically. So it's an analysis of caging and sort of the rolling cage and how to put a drive together with a bash team. It's not the perfect drive from either team really, but it'll be a nice opportunity to analyse some mistakes as well. So this is from a recent tournament. It's a NAF style tournament on Fumble. So we've both chosen 1100 teams with a number of skills. So I think it's something like 5 singles and 2 doubles. So I've got two block mummies. I'm the Undead team, and I'm playing against Nobby Knobs, who's got Khemri, and so he's got 2 block and 2 guard Tomb Guardians, and he's got a Mighty Blow, Blitzra, and then he's got a 2 block Throw Ras. And so as well as that, I've got a guard white, and I've got a wrestle ghoul, and I've got a block ghoul, and then I've got a frenzy white there as well, and a block ghoul. So quite a lot of skills on both teams. I kicked to him. Can't remember who won the toss. Let's have a look. So I lost the toss, and he chose to receive. I set up 3 on the line, and then fairly standard back. I'm not worried about Khemri surging through the line because that's not tremendously going to happen. He's set up with 5 on the line, ready to dispatch my front line, and I rolled a touchback, so he's given the ball to his throw ra there. So what you could do with Fumble is you could just fast forward through the game, and so I'll stop it when interesting thing happens. So he just hits forward. That was reasonably interesting, making sure he's got 3 dice blocks there if possible. Even with a 3 dice block, he still managed to roll triple skulls, and then used a reroll on that one. But 3 dice blocks in general are a good idea. So then he just... now what's interesting here, actually, is that he's doing his blitz, despite not having any rerolls left. So at this point, I'd have been tempted to probably bring the thrower over to provide a little bit of coverage. I can't really get to his blitz, his thrower on the ball. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The most I could do is stand next to him, but that's still a bit of a threat. I could stand next to him with 2 players, this ghoul and this white, and actually it might be that this ghoul is able to tag him as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So technically this ghoul would be able to blitz the thrower. So I think the technical best play here would have been to provide a little bit of coverage because the reroll went on the triple skull earlier. So let's see what happens. So he just pushes my guy back and then moves around. And then forms... So he's got a loose cage. So he hasn't gone for the tight cage. He hasn't put the thrower closer to there. He hasn't put the blitzra closer there. You don't generally need to. He has blocked off all the routes to the thrower, and that's the trick really, is not to allow a blitz on the thrower at all. He's got all of his Tomb Guardians in base contact, but they're in base contact with weak people basically. So I've got zombies and a ghoul there, and he's left this skeleton in base contact as well. But not too worried about him, I don't think. So on my turn, I just bash a few players. I've only pushed the... So that's quite bad from my point of view, in that I didn't manage to knock this Tomb Guardian over. And so now all his strong players, 1, 2, 3, 4 Tomb Guardians there, have all got pretty much free hits, and actually on some of my most valuable players. So that wasn't a great decision by me, leaving that white, my guarding white there in base contact. So he gets hit, but he's okay. So got away with that one a bit. So what he's doing here is trying to push forward a bit. So he's moved his cage over to the sideline, and then he's going to sort of form the cage around it and probably hit my ghoul in a second. And so he's just keeping the Tomb Guardians pushing forward, and he's fouled my guy. And then that was an interesting one. So the skeleton dodged out there. It's only a 4+ with the skeleton, but it's actually better to dodge out and fail the dodge than to be hit down by someone with Mighty Blow. The common phrase is the floor doesn't have Mighty Blow. So if you've got someone who's almost definitely going to be knocked over next turn, so if you're standing next to someone who's stronger with block and you haven't got block, there's a 35 and 36 chance that they're going to be... No, it's not quite that, is it? No, it's nonsense. 75% chance that they're going to be knocked over. And so that's better. It's better to take the 50% chance of being knocked over than to leave it with a 75% chance of being knocked over, and risk being hit with Mighty Blow as well. So that was a sort of good decision there, and he got away with it. So I've managed to smash his Tomb Guardian there, get him off the pitch, but he did regenerate. So let's see where I can. So don't think I'm putting much pressure on the ball carrier in this turn. So all I'm doing here is just trying to put people in front of the ball at this stage, because it's there was no easy way to get through to the ball carrier, even to get a tackle zone on the ball carrier. So all I'm doing here is stopping him from moving forward. So I'm just moving my players over, and all I did was get them in the way. And so there's pretty much no way of him making progress. So he takes the sensible route, which instead of trying to make progress down the sideline, he just goes back towards the middle and then cages up around there. Yeah, and just a load more hits, basically. So what we've got there actually is not the best cage in the world, in that there might have been the opportunity for this ghoul to come through here to smack him, but that would only be a 1 dice, and the Garda was there as well, and they got another block there. So basically what I could have possibly done is got rid of this Tomb Guardian and then got rid of this one maybe, but it would have been very tricky. So he's got a reasonable loose cage there, not too worried too much. So all I'm doing here is just hitting a few more of his players, and again going to try and just slow him down. So I've got it in the way there, hitting a few players and making it difficult for him to make progress. So he's got the option here to try and make progress down this wing if he wants to, but he's blitzing straight away with the Blitzra, which means that it's going to be difficult for him to make lots of progress, I think. So he does start to move down that wing. He's done a couple of go for it, so he's going for it in order to try and make progress. But all I need to do at that stage then is just to move in front of the ball carrier again. So I move over there, and then that's going to be difficult for him to make progress sort of forwards. So he takes the sensible route and just hits a few more of my guys. So I left a few more in base contact that would have been ideal probably, and then quite often when you do that you pay the price, so people start to leave the pitch. Now what he's done there is switched back to the middle. This is a solid strategy. You don't need to make progress every single turn. If there's no way of going forward, don't overcommit to going forward. Just move back into the centre and see what happens next turn. He has removed a few of my players from the pitch already. He's got 3 KOs there, and so he's starting really to build up the numerical advantage. Let's have a look. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 9 on the pitch. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's definitely got a numerical advantage going on there. And all it needs now is for something to go slightly wrong, which I think it does in a minute. There. No, not quite yet. So all I've done there is not moved across very far, basically. And so I think that was probably a mistake what I did with that white, is that I hit someone there and then had to dodge out. It would have been better to get that white further over and just get in the way more often. Because with Khemri, quite often what you need to do is just get in the way and stop them making progress, because then eventually they run out of time because they are quite slow. Now what's happened here, he's left the throw rar by himself, and I've got a blitz on that throw rar. So let's see what happens. He goes over there and he gets the 1 dice, but he only gets a pushback, and I needed to use the team reroll on the go for it, so I didn't have that. And then the quite critical thing is that my white, my frenzy white, dodged out, failed the dodge, and killed himself and didn't regenerate. So that was quite a big one there, because what that's done now is basically left this whole side open for him. He's just going to remove my ghoul, and then he's away basically there. Okay, so that gives him the touchdown on that side. Well done him. And then I've just got the 1 dice there. 1 dice, 1 turn, where I do a little bit of bashing, but I don't think anything interesting happens. So just a little bit of sort of hitting there. And then he sets up. Now this time, I said in one of my other videos that it's a good idea just to put 3 on the line, but when you've got... so basically, if I... See, he had the option there of just putting skeletons on the line, but he's chosen to put his Tomb Guardians on the line, which I don't think I'd have done against 2 mummies, because you could easily lose one of them. So I wouldn't particularly recommend that. I'd do that against elves possibly, because you've got 4 strength 5 monsters there, but not against someone where they've got strength 5 and mighty blow and no loner. So he kicked off there, and what I did straight away, I had 2 back. I almost always have 2 receivers back, just in case of throw a rock. And what I just basically did was move one of them over, just so it's near the ball, just in case something goes wrong. Even against a slow team like Khemri, it's nice to have players near the ball, basically in case of the failed touchback, failed pickup. And so what I've done there is actually I've knocked out one of his Tomb Guardians straight away because he put them on the line. And that could easily happen on the other side as well, but it only got a push. So it got away with that one. And then I've hit the other one as well. Okay, so by putting them on the line, and then I'm going to foul him as well, I think. I've got a bribe as part of my team, and I think we both got one as part of a get the ref earlier or something along those lines. Or maybe we'll get that later. So he's done a bit of hitting now. And so what I want to do on this turn ideally is set up some sort of a cage. So it's a fairly loose cage at this point. I left this skeleton. Who's that? Agnes. Yeah, Agnes just stood up. So in theory, Agnes could have come over here and dodged. But what Nobby's going to do is use the Tomb Guardians to put a bit of pressure on my ghoul. He's not worried about actually blitzing the ghoul, but he's going to blitz one of the 2 next to him, and that's the way you disrupt a cage. If it's a tight cage like that one was, then you just blitz a part of it and go and stand next to the ball carrier. So that's going to force me now to do something about this Tomb Guardian. I'm either going to have to dodge the ghoul away, or I'm going to have to hit that. I'm going to have to hit the Tomb Guardian. Let's have a look. So now, so that's the start of my turn. Did a little bit of hitting over here, and then this mummy's going to do a hit there as well, just to get rid of a few players. And now what's going to happen? So I've had to use the blitz on that Tomb Guardian. So I've got the 2 assists in there, and I'm 1 dicing with block. He hasn't got block, and so that's a 2+. I've got a reroll, so it's not particularly a risky thing. It's just the same as the 2+ dodge. And so I've managed to push him away, and as a bonus, I've blocked him as well. Not sure why I followed up then. I tend to trust too much in Blodge, in that I'd leave my Blodge players in base-to-base contact too often, really. And even if you're hitting a Blodge player, you've actually got a 1 in 3 chance, pretty much, of knocking them over. You've got a 1 in 3 chance that one of the dice is going to be a POW. It's actually 11 in 36, which is slightly less than 1 in 3, but it's near as makes no difference. So yeah, so Blodge players will be hit down just under 33% of the time. So it's not a good idea to leave them in base contact, but I tend to do it a little bit too often. Okay, so what he's done now is just put, again, he's put the Tomb Guardian next to the ghoul, just trying to slow me down, forcing me to use the blitz on that situation down there. Okay, so now this is quite a nice illustration coming up, I think. I reviewed this one just before I started making the video. So let's see what happens. So he's just doing a couple of hits over there, and a couple of hits there. Now what I'm going to do here, I've put the assist in, and what this mummy's going to do, the way to get this Tomb Guardian away from the ghoul, I'm going to blitz this Tomb Guardian, hope to knock him over, push him into this Tomb Guardian, push this one over here, and that'll mean that both of these ghouls are then free to move if I get a POW on the 2 dice. So I do get the POW, so I block into there. Use the chain push is a good idea. The stun was a bonus, and that allows both of my ghouls to move. Now this is possibly a mistake. Now I'm using both the ghouls to move, but I'm mostly worried about this Blitzra. So in fact I'm just leaving this skeleton completely free, because I'm trusting in Blodge again, because that would only be a 1 dice. Let's see what happens. Can you guess? So he wakes up and he powers the ghoul. So, you know, not ideal, basically. Okay, so then it's sort of recovery time. He bashes a few of my players, and then I have to try and recover. Ideally, I'd have knocked that skeleton over, which would have made the recovery very easy. But as it is, I'm going to have to sort of move a few players around the ball. Try and pick up the white, fail. Gives him a go. He smacks into the white, bounces around a bit. Now he does a bit of fancy dodging with the Blitzer in a moment. He's going to try and... So he's dodged out there, dodged out again, and failed, because there's only 4 minutes. There's only so many 4+s you can do. Now what I've done there, again, so I've... to make the ghoul escape from... So the ghoul was marked by 2 different players there, so I used the chain push again to block the skeleton into my ghoul, knock him over, and that frees up the ghoul straight away. So the chain push to free away from tackle zones is a really sort of powerful tool there. So I picked up the ball, and this time he didn't take the 1 dice, he's just putting more pressure on the ghoul. But time is very much running out, so I haven't done particularly well here, and I'm going to have to trust on a ghoul dodge away. The ghoul dodge away worked, 3+, so that was a 1 in 9 chance of failing, 3+ with a reroll. So he's run around to there, and he's going to have to trust on the fact that this guy won't make the dodge out, or won't make the go for it, or won't hit me over with a 1 dice pow again. And this is playing for the 1-all now. So he makes the dodge but uses the reroll, and makes the go for it, and then skulls out on the blitz, and then I just run in for the score. So what we had there was a sort of two hitty teams against each other. On the Khemri drive, they got stuck a few times and then just switched around as much as they could. They moved 6 on the blitz rails and throw rails. I mean, the Khemri do have a certain amount of maneuverability to go back and forth. I should have been able to stay in the way of him with my ghouls and my whites, but I think I overcommitted a bit too much. So when you are a more slow team with the zombies there, do be careful not to overcommit them. Mummies are incredibly slow. One of the big things with using an undead team is getting your mummies in the right place at the right time. I think I started with them in the reasonable place because you don't know which side it's going to go to. But as soon as the mummies start going down or getting out of position, then they are completely stuffed. But there we go. Hope that's been helpful. Let me know if not, or if so.